So the soul is carried. Actually, it said that the soul is seated in this body like a passenger on a chariot or a passenger in the car. Not the driver, passenger. So the driver is meant to be the intelligence. And the controls come from the mind, and it manipulates the senses, the body. But if the intelligence is not cultivated in the right way, it's like some people, they're very intelligent how to commit crimes. Or you have terrorists that are so intelligent how to be destructive. Very intelligent. And there are other people that are very intelligent how to make money. But Krishna says, use that intelligence to learn how to come back to me. Then all problems solved. Then there's no more struggle. Another chapter, another chapter, another life, another life. Right now we're in this life and we're struggling, trying to figure it out, trying to go in the right direction. But how many more lives do we want that to continue on before we figure it out? And we'd no more struggle. So that's what Krishna is encouraging us. Understand, you can't do anything right until you understand who you are. If you have amnesia, you never make the right choice to go and find your parents, your family, your right life. You're just wandering aimlessly, whatever happens. So Krishna is telling us who we are, the soul, so we wake up. And we start from the right place. I'm not this. This is not me. I'm the soul inside. That's who I am. Once you start with the right identity, then you say, oh, what is the business of the soul? What is the soul supposed to do? What is the nature? Where does it come from? How does it So Krishna tells us, the soul is my eternal part of me, like me. It's eternal. It's always happy like me. It's always full of knowledge like me. That's who you are. Oh, and I have a relationship with that supreme person. And not just he's there, I'm here, no connection. So that's why sometimes some philosophers, they say, well, God created the universe and now he can't control it. It's out of control. Or he doesn't want to control. No. It's Krishna controls all of his energies very personally. He wants to have that relationship with us, but out of love. That relationship is meant to be out of love. We can see in Krishna's life, many of you are familiar, you've heard the stories, Krishna's life. Someone approaches him inimical, they hate him, they want to kill him. Krishna immediately dispatches them. Just with the back of the hand, he can knock off their head. It's like if you were trying to make some financial deal with Bill Gates over $100. It's ridiculous. Just $1,000, $200,000, bam, you're finished, you know. Take care of you in a minute. Was there some strange stories I heard one time? They would catch Bill Gates speeding in his hometown, and the policeman would pull him over in his Ferrari or his Mercedes, whatever he was driving. And they would call and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Gates, you were speeding. He said, don't you understand? I own this whole town. Don't you understand? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that story. But that's the concept is there. Krishna is so powerful. He can create a whole universe, or he can dissolve it just in the blink of an eye. So more questions about the soul or anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question as well.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, please.
I think we can understand all, soul has all knowledge, all happiness, fully
Yes.
blissful and all that. The one thing we can't fathom is eternal, because we always think there's a beginning and an end.
Mm.
That's one of the amazing things
Mm.
about soul. So it's eternal, the concept of being eternal.
Yes.
Unless we can understand fully happy, fully blissful, fully knowledgeable, we can grasp that.
You think so?
Never,
Fully happiness.
People are more intelligent.
Fully happy means in this material world, there's no happiness. If you get happiness, then there must be some unhappiness coming with it. Every high, there's going to be a low. There's a package deal. Like in every coin, there's a heads and there's the tails. You can't have a coin with only heads on it. But in the spiritual world, there's no duality like that. So we don't have experience like that. Have a thrill at every moment. Anyway, if you study the activities of Krishna and his devotees, we begin to get a glimpse of what those thrills are. They're very deep. The cows, when they see Krishna, the little calves, they're just drinking mother's milk. They stop drinking the milk and it's just dripping out of their mouth. And they're just staring at Krishna. They're so entranced by seeing Krishna. The gopis describe that they're embracing Krishna within their hearts. They can't do it with their body, but within their eyes by that glance. And they're feeling great ecstasy that they can't even move. They can't even finish drinking the milk. So there's experiences like that are far beyond our experience.
My point was that it's amazing.
But yes, I understand.
Beginning
Beginning and end.
Before and end. It's eternal.
That's a fact.
We can never get to that.
Well, we can. We can.
Not in terms of understand.
No, it's not a.
We always rationalize it. There's a beginning and an end.
Yes.
The soul is because it's spirit.
It's
beyond that.
It's kind of a problem that we tend to have that. With everything, we want to know where it started. Even if we say it won't end, we still want to know where it started. But Krishna says in the second chapter, Natva evaham jatunasham natva nemi janadipa. That never was there a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor any of these kings here on the battlefield. He said, nor in the future is there any time where we'll cease to exist. So we always existed in the past, and will always exist in the future, and we're existing now. And Krishna says also in the Bhagavad Gita a little later, he says to Arjuna, many, many lives you and I have passed together. But the difference is I can remember them all, but you cannot. So Arjuna is not like us. His consciousness is already there with Krishna. He's already a perfected person. But still, Krishna says, you cannot remember all your births, but I can. But that's a whole subject. what is eternal and how we can understand it and how we can relate to it. But as one's consciousness develops to that level of what we call Krishna consciousness, one actually begins to feel oneself deathless. I recently heard someone ask Srila Prabhupada, it's like, I forget exactly how the question was. It was something like, what is your feeling about death? He said, it's just a moment, just a slight change, no big deal. We're afraid, we don't know what's coming. But he wasn't afraid. He said, it's hardly even a change. Why? Because he was serving Krishna now, and he'll continue to serve Krishna in the future. And that was the nature of his relationship. Very deep, very heartfelt. That serving Krishna is not a mechanical activity. Something that's felt in the heart that I love Krishna. I want to do something to make him happy, to please him. As one saying is used sometimes by devotees, that we develop an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of being thankful for what Krishna has given us and what he's done for us. Anyway, I think I've gone for quite a long time here. Is there some other question?
Sometimes if they declare the body is dead,
Yeah.
because they say there was an organ failure or
Hmm.
something,
Heart failure,
yeah,
something.
mechanical thing happened in the body, then they declare him as dead.
Hmm.
But not the soul left the body or
Yeah, like just recently there was this soccer player, I think last week. He had like a heart attack on the field. And now they said he was dead for 75 minutes. He was dead for 75 minutes. Now he's back to life. But they cannot understand the soul and how the soul is acting.
That's why they call it a beautiful game.
Hmm?
That's why they call it a beautiful game. You get experiences like that. I'm just kidding.
So to understand that is very difficult if you don't know what you're dealing with. You think it's just a chemical activity. Then when it seems like the bodily functions are finished, then they're thinking the person is dead. They're thinking that the body is dead, the person is dead. But it doesn't always work like that, because only when it is time for the soul to leave the body does he actually go. When that period of time, which is dictated by his karma, his previous reactions, is up, then only he leaves, and not before. That's why you have like coma. People are not supposed to leave yet, so they have to stay.
So then coma is one thing. Suicide is something else, right? Where the soul
Suicide
goes on.
is something a little unnatural.
That ghostly
That's
personality.
someone becomes so disturbed they cannot tolerate living in this body any longer. So they think they can end the suffering, but what they don't know is it gets worse. That's like if you give your son a car and he's driving very recklessly and getting traffic tickets. He's not going to stop that problem, driving recklessly, by crashing the car, because then he goes to jail. Probably, Then it gets worse. Yes, sir.
The soul keeps traveling from one body to other and grows and then dies again and it moves to another
The
body.
body
So
goes
what
on.
point it reaches Krishna? How can we
When he
define
only
that?
wants Krishna and nothing else.
Okay, it's only in the human form we pray to Krishna, and then only we can. This is the only way of going to Krishna.
Yes.
So in any other body, there is no chance of for the soul to
No,
be.
it's not very easy in other bodies to go because they don't do anything to develop their consciousness, to develop their love. They're simply going on in the strict pattern what they can do next. They're limited by their body. Mm. Although in Lord Chaitanya's life, he was also, there was like, for example, one dog. And he came to see Lord Chaitanya. And he sat there very respectfully. And Lord Chaitanya was affectionate to him. So he threw him pieces of mango. And the dog would eat it. And he would kind of bark in a way as like chanting Hare Krishna is whatever he could do. He would say Krishna's name. Maybe you could figure out how you might do that. Anyway, and then the next day, no one found that dog, and they realized he had gone back to the spiritual world because he had given direct contact with Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself. So he can do that. Other question? So this chanting that you've been doing is actually the most recommended, the most powerful method for reviving that consciousness of who we are, that soul consciousness. It is the most powerful method. In other ages, they did yoga, or they would do different kinds of deity worship, or they would do meditation silently for many years. But this is the process that specifically works most powerfully in this time in history. It has the least requirements for us. And I'm sure Uma Devi here was explaining some things about that chanting. So this is a little bit like a university class, but you're all like now in a postdoctorate class. The part they don't even teach in the school comes for the most intelligent persons only can get in this. Take advantage. And then we can all, as it says here, go beyond birth and death. There's 4 problems that cannot be solved. 4. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Birth, no one knows what to do. Death, what is the death rate? Just like one time a TV talk show man was asking, "Oh, you're from India. Death rate is very high in India." Prabhupada said, "No, it's the same, 100% everywhere." Prabhupada spoke in a very interesting way. The interviewer was trying to create a controversy because that was his style. And so he asked Prabhupada another question. He said, you believe in this philosophy, Bhagavad Gita, and that. I heard that means you think the earth is flat. Prabhupada said, everywhere I walk, the earth is flat. I think many of you have gone and got a university degree, right? Many of you have bachelor's, maybe master's, maybe even PhD. So it's because you knew that there was something you wanted that degree would give you. So you went through all that steps to get there. It weren't easy steps. A lot of studying, a lot of restriction. You couldn't go off for a holiday for months on a time. You had to stay there in university and study and work hard and like that. So you saw what you wanted, the result, maybe you wanted to be I'll just say a doctor or something. So then you knew I have to go so many years to school and like this, and then I will be a doctor. So all that time was very difficult to restrict and do so many things, but you had a purpose, a goal. So a person who doesn't have goals but little small, oh, this is what I want right now. Can they get a PhD? Probably not. As soon as they get money, they spend it. Whatever comes in front of them, they want to run and do it. So they cannot discipline themselves to take something greater. What was the position? Maharaj Parikshit was there asking Sukadev Goswami so many questions. Why? Because although he was the grandson of Arjuna, and he was the emperor of the world, all the kings were under him. One time when he was out traveling in the kingdom, he became very hungry and thirsty. It was very hot. And he came on one small cottage where there was a sage lived, some great person, Brahmin. And he came to the door and he said, I'm thirsty, do you have any water? But that sage, he had gone into a deep yoga trance and he was meditating. So he didn't hear him. He was just sitting there. And Maharaj Parikshit, he was the emperor of the world, like Barack Obama, you know. He comes in here and he asks, can you give me a glass of water? And you're just sitting there and you ignore him. He's going to be like, who is this? They're ignoring me, this little citizen? You know, so there was a dead snake by the door, dead snake body. So he just said, put the dead snake around his neck like a garland. A little bit insulting, but he felt he had been insulted because the sage didn't give him any water. He didn't realize that he was, in samadhi and trance. And then he left. And then the son of that Brahmin came and he saw, who has done this? Who has put this snake on my father? And he came out, I'm sorry. The king had come, the emperor had come, and I didn't take care of him. So that little boy, he said, I'm a Brahmin also. He was only 7 years old. And I cursed that king to die in 7 days because he has disrespected my father. So Maharaj Parikshit, he said, I'm going to die in 7 days. What am I supposed to do? What is the point of my life? He went and sat on the bank of Jamuna, the Ganga, and he asked so many sages, what should I do now? I'm about to die in 7 days. Sukadev Goswami came and said, you should hear about Krishna. So in the course he was speaking so many things that are recorded in the Bhagavad Purana. And he said, now if you do this activity, you can do something to counteract. So you think he'd be interested. I made a mistake. I can counteract that curse. He said, I'm not interested in that. He said, why? He says, because we see that people who do those things, they make do something wrong, then they try to counteract it. When they learn how to counteract, it doesn't change the heart, and they go do the same mistake again. It's like an elephant, he compared it to, who goes into the river and takes a bath and the body is all clean. As soon as he gets out on the bank, he takes dust and dirt and throws it all over himself. And again, his body is all dirty. So what is the use? The people just, they perform these activities to get rid of all their sinful reaction, then they go do the same thing again. He said, why? Because the seed of desire, the heart is still dirty. So many bad desires are still in the heart. So until you get rid of all those bad desires, purify oneself, then they'll just go on and on, life after life, making mistake, trying to correct it, making mistake, trying to correct it. Counteract, balance, He said, clean the heart, then you won't make those sins again. He said, how do I do that? He said, yes, you have to hear Harikatha. Talks about Lord Hari, Supreme God, Krishna. That purifies the heart completely. Completely purifies the heart. Nothing bad desire is left. So it is spoken in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Purana, that whoever hears this daily, all the things in the heart, the dirty things, are removed almost to nothing. So hearing this Harikatha, he said, yes, I want to go on hearing more and more and more.
But he has only 7 days time.
7 days. And in 7 days, he was so transcendental, so fixed. I'm ready to go. Let my death come. I am not afraid. I have no fear anymore. Let it come. Fearless. Right now we're afraid. Oh, I did something. Something bad will come.
Yeah, when he's more concerned about his body and his kingdom and all, earlier he was afraid of his death.
Yes.
Once he is transcendental to Krishna's nature, he forgot everything. He's completely involved in that. Right?
He transcends. He's completely fearless. Just like, was it the Jains? They are non-violent, right? The Jains practice non-violence, isn't it? Sometimes they even wear a mask over their mouth so they don't breathe any bugs or germs, so they don't kill, right? But just by walking, just by living, we're killing all the time. So they can't avoid. They try, but they can't stop. Because this world is full of so many living entities, and you're bound to. Not that we want to kill, but you can't just say, I won't kill. You won't do it. In other words, you can't say, I won't ever make any mistake, I won't ever do anything wrong. You can't say that, because just by living here, things happen. Unknowingly. Not even knowing. And sometimes the policeman may pull you over and say, you went too fast. I didn't see that speed had changed. It's gone down now. I thought it was still 60, but now it's 40. You didn't even know. So we're prone to make all kinds of mistakes in this material world. Different kinds of mistakes. The only solution is to always hear Harikatha. Then you're purified.
Do animals also have the self-consciousness, like soul consciousness?
Soul consciousness, no, they're bodily conscious for the most part, really.
So,
Big story. When Prabhupada was preaching in India, first he preached in America, then he went back to India for some time. And there was a man who was in the jail in Bombay. He was a thief. That was his profession. So somehow or other he saw a poster advertising Prabhupada speaking. He saw that picture. But what did he see in the picture? He saw Prabhupada had a very expensive watch on. And he thought, when I get out, I'm going to meet him and I'll steal that watch. Because he was a thief. So he got out of jail. And he inquired around, where is this Krishna temple? Oh, in Bombay, there's one temple over there in Juhu. So he went to Juhu. I want to meet your leader, Prabhupada. He's not here. He's in a different city. Huh? So somehow he got a train ticket and he went to that city. And he got into the temple, and he obviously his desire was to meet Prabhupada and steal his watch. So there was, Prabhupada had a room, and sometimes there would be one devotee outside, and you would talk to him and he'll let you go speak to Prabhupada. So it was very easy to meet Prabhupada in those days. He had an open door policy, we say. So he came, he said, I want to meet Swamiji, please. And all right, come in. He's talking to Prabhupada, and he's looking at the watch, and Prabhupada's preaching to him, telling him all the Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada looked at him, and he just took off his watch. He said, you want this? Take it. He didn't ask for it. He didn't say a word about it. Prabhupada knew. But by hearing Prabhupada speak Hari Katha, he said, no, I'm sorry, I can't take it. He wouldn't take it. He said, I want to become a devotee of Krishna. He said, all right, you stay in this temple and you serve Krishna. So he was in that temple and he was helping in the kitchen, cutting the vegetables and cleaning. And Prabhupada came back after a few months, and the people knew he wasn't very high character, so you just stay here, clean and cook. Prabhupada is doing things in the temple, he's speaking, he's gonna. And so after a little while he's like, can I just go in for a minute? I just want to pay my obeisances to Prabhupada and come out. So he came into the temple and he said, all right. He came in, he said, but come right back. No this, running around doing anything. You just come right back and you have more cleaning to do. So he went in the temple room, he paid his obeisances. And he looked up and there's Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, so? What are you doing? He said, I'm working here in the kitchen cutting. He said, you're chanting? He said, yes, I'm chanting 16 rounds on the beads every day. He said, he asked Prabhupada, what are you doing here? What is this? He said, oh, we're having a big Agnihotra Yogya. I'm giving initiation. You want to be initiated? It's like, me? Yes, I would love to be your disciple. All right, sit down. It's like that. And they said, oh, I have to go and get my beads and come right back. So he went in there, and the man in charge of the kitchen, he said, oh, hey, where are you? What are you doing? He said, I went to pay obeisance to Prabhupada, and now he wants me to sit there for an initiation. Oh, you? You're going to get it? Yes, he asked me. All right, go. So just like that, he got initiated by Prabhupada. And he's a very nice devotee now. His profession was a thief, but his whole life changed by meeting Prabhupada and hearing Prabhupada. So that's a real life Ajamil. All right. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to keep you so late. Hare Krishna.